Before returning to Egypt to lead his people, Moses' journey was deeply connected with Zipporah and her heritage. Zipporah, the wife of Moses, was from the lineage of the Midianites, a tribe with a long history tracing back to Abraham through Keturah. Despite their connection to the Israelites, the Midianites maintained their distinct identity. This is mentioned in Genesis 25 verse 12, where the descendants of Abraham and Keturah are listed. This distinction not only highlights Zipporah's role in Moses' life but also helps readers better understand his mission. If you're curious about Zipporah's story and want to learn more about her influence, follow along in the next part of this journey of discovery. Don't forget to like, subscribe to the channel, and share it with those who are passionate about exploring biblical lessons. Have you ever wondered why Moses, chosen by God to lead the Israelites, suddenly faced a life-threatening situation from God himself? Or why Zipporah was the one to take decisive action in that dramatic moment that scholars have debated for centuries? Let us explore the story of Zipporah, a courageous woman whose actions significantly impacted the destiny of God's people. We will delve into her origins, her marriage to Moses, and the profound lessons from her life. Before we begin, don't forget to hit the subscribe button. If you enjoy this video, leave a like, share your thoughts in the comments, and send this video to your family, friends, or prayer group at your church. Together, let's uncover the eternal lessons from the Bible. Now, let's dive into the story of Zipporah. Her life raises many intriguing questions, from her background and marriage to Moses to the unique challenges she faced as the wife of one of the most significant figures in history. We will examine the Bible verses that recount her strength, courage, and extraordinary role in God's plan. Zipporah first appears in the book of Exodus at a pivotal moment in Moses' life. After fleeing Egypt to escape Pharaoh's wrath, Moses arrived in the land of Midian. There, he encountered the 7 daughters of Jethro, also known as Ruel, a priest of Midian. The Midianites, descendants of Abraham through his wife Keturah, as recorded in Genesis 25 verses 1-2, were nomadic people living in what is now the northwestern region of the Arabian Peninsula. Zipporah's introduction in the Bible is quite remarkable. She appears at a well, a setting often associated with significant encounters in the Bible, such as those of Rebekah and Rachel. In Exodus 2 verses 16-21, we learn that Jethro's daughters were harassed by a group of shepherds while trying to draw water for their family's flock. Moses stepped in to defend them, driving away the shepherds and helping them draw water. This act not only demonstrated his kindness and sense of justice but also foreshadowed his future role as the deliverer of the Israelites. When Jethro's daughters returned home earlier than usual, their father was surprised and asked what had happened. After hearing about Moses' heroic act, Jethro invited him to stay with their family. Over time, Moses agreed to settle in Midian, and Zipporah was given to him in marriage, according to the customs of that time. Zipporah's name, meaning sparrow in Hebrew, carries a special significance. This marriage was not merely a union but symbolized Moses' integration into Midianite society. By marrying Zipporah, Moses gained not only a wife but also social standing and protection in a foreign land. In Exodus 3 verse 1, we see Moses tending sheep for Jethro's family, indicating that he became deeply connected to Zipporah's household, a crucial preparation for his divine mission. The Midianites were one of the 6 lineages descended from Abraham and Keturah. Their descendants formed distinct tribes, each with its own culture and religious customs. Although related to the Israelites, the Midianites were viewed as outsiders in the biblical narrative. As nomads, they moved through the arid deserts of the Arabian Peninsula, and their way of life shaped their cultural and religious practices. As the daughter of Jethro, a priest of Midian, Zipporah was undoubtedly well-versed in her people's religious traditions. In Exodus 18 verse 1, the Bible mentions, Jethro, the priest of Midian and Moses' father-in-law, heard of everything God had done for Moses and for his people Israel, and how the Lord had brought Israel out of Egypt. Jethro's role as a priest indicates that the Midianites had organized religious practices, including rituals and offerings, although these differed from those of the Israelites. However, the Bible also describes Jethro as a wise man who feared God, suggesting that the Midianites had reverence for the divine, even though their understanding of God may have differed from that of the Israelites. Zipporah's Midianite heritage undoubtedly influenced her worldview and spiritual beliefs. While the Midianites acknowledged the God of Abraham, they may also have worshipped other gods, a common practice in the ancient Near East. This made her distinct from the Israelites, who worshipped only one God and were faithful to the covenant established through Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. The marriage between Moses and Zipporah likely had to navigate cultural and religious differences. Moses, raised in Egypt and called by God to lead the Israelites, had a unique understanding of the covenant with Israel. In contrast, Zipporah brought her Midianite cultural background into their relationship, adding complexity and richness to their marital life. In Exodus 18 verse 12, the Bible records, "Then Jethro, Moses' father-in-law, brought a burnt offering and other sacrifices to God, and Aaron came with all the elders of Israel to eat a meal with Moses' father-in-law in the presence of God." This was a special moment where different cultures and beliefs intersected. Jethro, a Midianite priest, offered sacrifices to God, and Aaron and the elders of Israel joined in the meal. This event reflects a moment of mutual respect and unity between the two cultures, despite their differences. Even so, the religious differences between the Midianites and Israelites could lead to conflict. The Israelites, with their monotheistic faith, worshipped Yahweh alone, while the Midianites may have practiced a syncretistic worship of multiple gods. These differences required Moses and Zipporah to find a balance, particularly as Moses was being shaped by God to lead the Israelites according to divine laws. Numbers 25:1-3 highlights a broader issue of Israelite men being drawn into idol worship through relationships with foreign women. While this passage refers to the Moabites, it underscores the challenges that relationships between Israelites and women from other nations could bring, particularly when they led to cultural and religious conflicts. Although marriages between Israelites and foreign women often posed tensions, Zipporah's story stands out because she maintained her role in Moses' life without hindering his mission or his covenant with God. One of the most mysterious and debated events involving Zipporah is recorded in Exodus 4. This brief but intense incident has sparked discussions among scholars and theologians for generations due to its enigmatic nature and profound theological significance. In Exodus 4 verses 24-26, the Bible states, "At a lodging place on the way, the Lord met Moses and was about to kill him. But Zipporah took a flint knife, cut off her son's foreskin, and touched Moses' feet with it. 'Surely you are a bridegroom of blood to me,' she said. So the Lord let him alone. At that time she said, 'bridegroom of blood,' referring to circumcision." This passage describes a perplexing situation where God, who had just appointed Moses to lead the Israelites out of Egypt, suddenly sought to take his life. The reason for God's anger is not explicitly explained, but many believe that Moses had neglected to circumcise his son. Circumcision was a crucial symbol of the covenant between God and his people, as described in Genesis 17 verses 10-14. In Genesis 17 verses 10-11, God declared, "This is my covenant with you and your descendants after you, the covenant you are to keep, every male among you shall be circumcised. You are to undergo circumcision, and it will be the sign of the covenant between me and you." This was a clear sign of the covenant, a key element that set the Israelites apart from other nations. Every male was to be circumcised as a demonstration of loyalty to the covenant, passed down from Abraham to future generations. By failing to circumcise his son, Moses had disregarded a fundamental principle of faith and the covenant, an especially grave matter for someone chosen by God to lead the Israelites. In the moment of God's anger, it was Zipporah who acted swiftly and decisively. She took a flint knife, a tool often associated with purification and rituals in ancient cultures, and performed the circumcision on her son. Her actions demonstrate that Zipporah understood the gravity of the situation and the sacred significance of the covenant, perhaps even more so than Moses at that moment. Her words, "Surely you are a bridegroom of blood to me," have been the subject of much scholarly debate. This phrase can carry various meanings, ranging from anger, relief, to a profound realization of the covenant symbolized by the shedding of blood. Some scholars suggest that Zipporah's statement reflects the painful reality of the covenant, with its demands binding not only her husband but also her son to God's chosen people. The significance of this ritual is echoed in Joshua 5 verses 2-3, where God commands Joshua to use flint knives to circumcise the Israelites once again, emphasizing the importance of this practice in maintaining the purity of the covenant. Zipporah's use of a flint knife ties her actions to the broader biblical theme of circumcision as a sign of dedication and obedience to God. This event also sheds light on the relationship between Moses and Zipporah. Her actions not only saved her husband's life but also demonstrated a deep understanding of his divine responsibilities. This highlights Zipporah's critical role in Moses' life, not only as his wife but also as a companion who grasped the weight of God's mission for him. Zipporah's decision to perform the circumcision on her son not only saved Moses' life but also revealed her profound understanding of the covenant's importance to God. As a Midianite, not born into the covenant community of the Israelites, her actions show a remarkable awareness of the sacred meaning of this ritual, possibly even more than Moses at that time. Her statement, "Surely you are a bridegroom of blood to me," has been debated by scholars for centuries. It may reflect a range of emotions, from frustration and relief to a deep acknowledgement of the covenant's significance symbolized through bloodshed. Some scholars argue that her words highlight the painful and demanding reality of the covenant, which binds both her husband and her son to God's chosen community. This theme is reiterated in Joshua 5 verses 2-3, where God instructs Joshua to use flint knives to circumcise the Israelites once more, underscoring the ongoing importance of this ritual in preserving the covenant's sanctity. Zipporah's use of a flint knife also connects her actions to the larger biblical narrative of consecration and obedience to God. As a Midianite, Zipporah was not born into the covenant community of the Israelites, yet her actions demonstrated a deep understanding of its demands. This underscores the tension between her cultural background and Moses's, while affirming the centrality of the covenant in their relationship. Deuteronomy 10 verse 16 calls on the Israelites to circumcise your hearts, offering a metaphorical understanding of the physical act as a sign of deeper spiritual commitment to God. Zipporah's quick and decisive act of circumcising her son can be seen as a reflection of an inner understanding of the true significance of aligning with God's covenant. This event marks a turning point in the story of Moses and Zipporah. Not only did it save Moses' life, but it also reaffirmed the importance of the covenant between God and his people. Zipporah emerges as a figure of strength and spiritual insight, capable of overcoming cultural and religious challenges in her marriage to Moses. When Moses was preparing to lead the Israelites out of Egypt, the Bible mentions that Zipporah and her children returned to Midian. This is recorded in Exodus 18, where Jethro, Zipporah's father, brought her and their 2 sons back to meet Moses. Exodus 18 verses 2-3 states, after Moses had sent his wife Zipporah back to her father, Jethro, Moses' father-in-law, received her and her 2 sons. One son was named Gershom, for Moses said, I have become a foreigner in a foreign land, and the other was named Eleazar, for he said, my father's God was my helper, he saved me from the sword of Pharaoh. The decision to send Zipporah and their children back to Midian before the Exodus could have been motivated by several reasons. 1. Ensuring their safety. One possible reason is that Moses wanted to protect his family from the dangers of his mission. Confronting Pharaoh and demanding the release of the Israelites was fraught with peril, and Moses may have wanted to ensure that his family was safe in Midian. Although the direct threat to Moses' life had passed, Exodus 4 verse 19, Egypt still posed significant risks. Sending his family to Midian allowed Moses to fully focus on his divine mission without worrying about their safety. 2. Cultural challenges. Zipporah's return to Midian could also reflect the cultural challenges she faced living among the Israelites. Numbers 12:1 highlights tension within the Israelite community, specifically when Miriam and Aaron criticized Moses because of his Cushite wife. The passage states, Miriam and Aaron began to talk against Moses because of his Cushite wife, for he had married a Cushite woman. The term Cushite often refers to someone from Cush, modern-day Sudan or Ethiopia, suggesting African origins and possibly emphasizing Zipporah's foreignness. Who was Moses's Cushite wife? Scholars debate whether the Cushite wife mentioned in Numbers 12:1 refers to Zipporah or another wife Moses may have married. If the Cushite wife is indeed Zipporah, her Midianite background could have made her an outsider in the eyes of the Israelites. The label Cushite might emphasize her distinct origins or physical appearance, further alienating her from the Israelite community. Cultural and racial tension. Miriam and Aaron's criticism could reflect cultural or racial prejudices of the time. Numbers 12:1 suggests that Zipporah, as a foreigner, was not fully accepted by the Israelite community, even by Moses' own family. Although Zipporah was already seen as a Midianite outsider, being called a Cushite further reinforced her status as a foreigner, highlighting the challenges she faced in integrating into Israelite society. Warning in Deuteronomy. Deuteronomy 7 verses 3-4 warns, do not intermarry with them. Do not give your daughters to their sons or take their daughters for your sons, for they will turn your children away from following me to serve other gods. This command reflects the concern that marriages with foreigners might lead to idolatry. However, the story of Zipporah offers a different perspective. Rather than leading Moses away from God, she played a vital role in upholding the covenant, as seen in her decisive actions in Exodus 4. Miriam's punishment. Miriam's criticism of Moses resulted in divine punishment. Numbers 12:10-15 describes how she was struck with leprosy, her skin turning white as snow. This punishment is deeply symbolic and possibly ironic. Miriam criticized Moses' wife, potentially for her darker skin, but was herself afflicted with a condition that dramatically altered her own appearance. The punishment served as a divine rebuke, emphasizing that God does not tolerate jealousy, racial prejudice, or rebellion against his chosen leader. Aaron, seeing his sister's affliction, pleaded for her forgiveness, and Moses, showing compassion, prayed, "Please, God, heal her." Numbers 12:13. Key takeaways. Zipporah's return to Midian. This highlights the complexity of Moses' mission and the measures he took to safeguard his family amidst dangerous circumstances. Cultural and racial dynamics. The criticism of Moses' Cushite wife underscores the tension between the Israelites and foreigners, reflecting broader societal prejudices. God's justice. Miriam's punishment serves as a reminder of God's impartiality and intolerance for prejudice, jealousy, and rebellion. Zipporah's legacy. Despite the challenges she faced as a foreigner, Zipporah remains a pivotal figure in Moses' story, exemplifying courage, wisdom, and spiritual insight. When Miriam was struck with leprosy, she was isolated outside the camp for 7 days, and the entire Israelite community had to pause their journey to wait for her. This period of isolation was not only a punishment but also an opportunity for her to reflect on her sin. After 7 days, Miriam was restored and welcomed back into the community. This temporary separation emphasized the severe consequences of jealousy and prejudice while also highlighting God's mercy and the community's capacity for reconciliation. Lessons from the story of Miriam, Moses, and the Cushite wife. 1. Overcoming prejudice. God does not value origin or skin color but looks at the heart and obedience of each individual. The criticism of Moses' Cushite wife reminds us that cultural or racial biases have no place in God's community. 2. Maintaining unity in the community. Cultural and racial prejudices can disrupt family and community relationships. However, through repentance and mercy, relationships can be healed, and unity can be restored. 3. Leadership and compassion. Despite being criticized by his own family, Moses demonstrated compassion and prayed for his sister's healing. His actions exemplify the kind of leadership that is grounded in humility, kindness, and intercession for others. 4. Cultural and racial dynamics. The events surrounding Miriam and Aaron's criticism of Moses reflect the cultural and racial tensions of the time, as well as the challenges Zipporah, or the Cushite wife, may have faced in being fully accepted by the Israelite community. Whether or not the Cushite wife was Zipporah, these family conflicts highlight the complexities of balancing leadership responsibilities with personal challenges related to racial, cultural, and spiritual differences. Themes of humility and unity. This story serves as a powerful reminder of the importance of humility, unity, and God's justice within the faith community. God, in his handling of the situation with Miriam, demonstrated that he does not show favoritism and that cultural or racial prejudice has no place among his people. Zipporah's role in Moses' life. Although the Bible only mentions Zipporah briefly, her story carries great significance. As Moses' first wife, she played a pivotal role in his life, from their first encounter in Midian to the decisive moment when she saved his life. Zipporah's story reflects the challenges of navigating cultural and spiritual differences, as well as the strength required to overcome these obstacles. A portrait of a courageous woman. Though little is recorded about her, the details given in the Bible depict Zipporah as a courageous, decisive woman with a deep understanding of the covenant's significance. She accompanied one of the greatest leaders in the Bible and contributed to his mission by overcoming personal and cultural challenges. Lessons from Zipporah's story. Zipporah's story is a testament to the importance of understanding and respect in relationships, especially when facing cultural and spiritual differences. It also emphasizes that obedience and loyalty to God can overcome any barriers or challenges. Thank you for exploring Zipporah's story with us. If you found this content meaningful, don't forget to like, subscribe to the channel, and share it with those who share your interest. Stay tuned for more valuable lessons from the Bible. May God bless you.